Oh,
They
I
said,
see.
"Oh," but the email, I never received an email. Let me just copy paste this letter to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so, to start off the night, ooh. Okay. Oh boy, I saw caps lock in that email already.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not happy. I've been there. I've been on this site for 5 days. They've declined a card and a PayPal account. Their fraud detection is like, "Oh, there's something wrong here." It's like, "How? I've used these for years. This is the first time there's been any issue."
Yeah. Well,
CA, oh
to
god,
make
do
you
we have
feel
to let
better,
CA in?
I have a funny, you can if you want. I don't care. So to make a funny
Eh,
story today, so I got basically had a moment of I got scolded by a senior coworker today
okay.
because he was like, "Hey, look, I'm working on a task right now that you didn't do correctly." Like, okay, well, what did I not do correctly? He's like, "Well, the printer still isn't working, and they still can't access the remote storage." Like, okay, well, first off,
Oh, yeah, yeah, you hit me up with this earlier. Alright, yeah,
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 I was
I
like,
wanna hear the full
yeah, I
thing
was
of
like, well,
this.
first off, I did do the printer correctly because I sat down with the guy for about almost an hour. And not only is the printer working properly, it's properly configured. Everyone else in the office can use it. His computer can now use it. We did a test page. I stayed on the line with him while the test page was completed. He confirmed over the line that the test page completed successfully. All of that, right? And now, a policy that I do that I was sort of inspired what Miles wanted me to do was he asked me to set up everything in a way that makes it look like I'm communicating with people. Like if I give them a phone call, I send off an email saying, "Hey, I gave you a phone call." Except I went a step further. I was like, "Hey, look. So in the phone call, this is what we talked about. This is what I told you to do. This is what we solved. This is what we couldn't solve. If I had to escalate the issue, here's the task. Blah blah blah. All of it. I record everything. I write it all up at the end, and I send off the email, and I make a bunch of paperwork as well for it. Right?
As you should.
Yeah, of course, because I
Like
am
in
a
your
master.
job field, you kind of need to track everything because
Oh yeah,
otherwise, if
yeah.
something goes wrong, you can't defend yourself.
Well, not only that, also the fact that it's just really helpful for people that if the issue ever pops up again, people can look back and be like, okay, so this is what
Oh
was
yeah,
done, this
that
is
too.
what didn't work. Um, yeah, I was like, I gave him the instructions. I explained everything to him. I sent off this email to him. He confirmed everything worked, and that the part of the thing that I didn't do for him was I created a new ticket for it because that was outside of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I escalated that ticket to you, uh, the senior coworkers. Um, and he was like, "Oh, uh, oh yeah, I see it." Like, yeah. So
Gotta love those moments where it's like, yeah, this is beyond me.
not
I
only
did
did
everything
I
right.
do everything correctly, I made sure to document it all, and then send him a copy of that document. The person I was working with, I sent him a copy of that, explaining everything, what exactly he needs to do to recreate the successful print scenario, all of it. Um, and how I was creating a separate ticket for him to escalate uh the shared drive issue. And yeah, this new coworker was kind of just like, "Oh, well, yeah, oh," and then just stopped responding to me. I was like, "Yeah, that's what I fucking thought."
Yeah.
Yeah,
"Try it again, bitch."
like, don't get me wrong, I don't know a lot. A large business environment is something I don't have a lot of experience in. However, I used to work for the government, so I'm very experienced in how to cover my own ass. But
Yeah, that was one of the first business skills my dad, like, took the time to really nail into my head.
because look at
Always
at the
cover
end of
your
the day,
ass.
At the end of the day, even if you can't solve the issue or fix the problem or do whatever they're hiring you to do, you can at least document everything you tried to do to fix it. So when they come back to you later saying, hey, you didn't fix this issue, you can be like, well, yeah, I see I tried, and here's all the things I tried, and I documented it all. And they'll just be like, well, shit, we can't say you didn't try or you didn't put effort into it. It's like, yep, that's what I fucking thought. But yeah, so that's my story for the day. But yeah, that's that letter of yours is purchased a product. I have not received an email about suspension. Yeah.
I am beyond pissed. There's a lot of cool shit by some really chill sellers, and I can't support them because Etsy's fraud detection is absolute garbage. By the way, in between Monday and now,
Yeah.
their live support option is gone. The
Yeah,
live chat
I'm
option just
not
completely
surprised. Yeah,
disappeared all of a sudden.
not
It's like,
surprised at
cool.
all. Yeah.
That's fuck you.
Oh, I do have another little funny story. So, we have a lot of clients at the company I work at, and we were sometimes we have multiple teams of IT people. Each team serves a certain section of the clientele. And sometimes when there's no real problems going on with our clientele, we can go help the other teams that are having like an overload. And so I went to go check out some of the other teams' tickets because we were having a pretty slow day on our end. And I saw one of the tickets for the other team where the person was asking the IT support to cover their phone calls because they were a call center. They're like, hey, we're having an excess number of calls right now. Can you come in and take some calls for us? And I was just like, no. Nah. That's not part of the job description. We're here to provide you IT support. We aren't here to do your job.
You sure about that?
Yes. Quite sure about that, actually. But yeah, damn, the fucking network, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we've been having literally 6 days of rain straight up here. And the infrastructure up here is not hardened against weather. And so the network has just been absolutely garbage. I am just dropping frame. I have dropped 20% of my frames right now. Let's see if I can't fix that. Are we still dropping frames? Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
I like that you're worried about frame drops on a fanfiction reading stream.
Yeah, but frames also include audio. So
That's just a funny thing to be worried about normally.
all right, time for my monthly tithe of vodka. Thank you, Pedro. I appreciate all your efforts. Let's get started, gentlemen. So let's see. Since we only have Max here, we can do some Naruto. We can do some Ruby. What else does Max know that I care about? Dark Souls. You know what? We haven't gone into the Dark Souls Elden Ring section recently. So let's go do that.
God, why
Oh,
does it have
no.
to be the why does it have to be the crossover section? Fuck.
The crossover section is the cringiest one.
Elden Rings. Only
I don't know,
79
man.
Elden
wait,
Ring
we're-
stories.
Weren't
Wow.
we at Elden Ring like a week or two ago?
No.
That was Elden Ring and Ruby.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember sending that one cringe author I found from that section.
Yeah. No, those are shockingly only 64 English Elden Ring stories. Which is kind of wild if you think about it, because like Dark Souls has more than that.
So far, give them time.
I think part of it's just because the Elden Ring and Soulsborne community are nicher. Though Dark Souls has a longer time period.
Yes, but at the same time, you got to keep in mind back when Max and I were making stories for the Dark Souls community. Let's go see Dark Souls. Darkest Souls is it? Yeah, see Dark Souls. 1,200 stories. Like,
Oh damn.
yeah, like back in the day when Max and I were writing our story in 2016. So literally, Dark Souls 2 had just come out. There was like 800 stories. And Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 sold a fraction of what Elden Ring sold.
Damn.
Yeah. So I guess it's just there's not a big fan fiction community for Elden Ring, I guess. Which I mean,
Well, I'm
fanfiction's
sure
kinda
people are
dying
still
out, I think.
deep diving the lore on that as well.
that's true. I guess a lot of French Elden Ring stories, and I don't appreciate it.
Oh, cringe.
Dude,
The French.
French.
Escargot.
Escargon.
Iscar, surrender.
All right, let's see what we got here. So we got a glimpse of grace. You know, I didn't do my intro. Whatever. Fanfiction, Contempt, Theater, blah blah blah. SneakyDevil, blah blah blah. Hey. Glimpse of Grace, a journey of the tarnished who would become Elden Lord. So literally just writing your Elden Ring playthrough. Scarlet Blade, a new age is coming, not of order lustrous and gold, but of reunification. Empyrean met her lord. Tarnished times millennia.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly 250 favorites. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Actually, you know what? This brings me to something that I got to enjoy recently. So, you know how when you post a story on a forum like questionable questing or space battles, people can like that single chapter. You know,
Yeah.
slap a little like on it, and typically the fall off is around 50 to 60%. From the start of the story all the way to the latest chapter, because
Rip.
yeah, because people just don't like the chat. Like they'll like the first chapter, be like, hey, this story's good, and then they'll just read the rest of the chapters, and that's it. They won't actually like every single chapter usually. However, Undying Scarab now boasts only a 20% total degradation rate of likes between the latest chapter and the first chapter, and we're currently nearing the end of book 2.
That says far too much about, I think, the community, the forum community as a whole and its contents.
A little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of understandable. 'Cause it's like, why would you like every chapter? Like, there needs to be a little bit of a better system for stories, because there's not really a point of liking the additional chapters. Like, yeah, you'd be like, oh, I like this chapter too, but it's like, well, you're also still here reading it, so.
Sounds like a case of somebody needing to build their own again.
Yeah, questionable questing is also going the route of space battles in its enforcement, as you've felt firsthand. So,
Oh yes.
have you posted that Ruby story yet?
Not yet. It's on next week, I think.
All right.
It's honestly sad how QQ was supposed to be like the one place like of no bullshit. Like, just keep the politics in the one channel, keep the bullshit low. We don't give a fuck. Now they're just they're I can't say.
And then it got infiltrated, and as it usually happens, it went hard to the left.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It is
Yep.
what it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Yeah, the guy. So some new guy bought Space Battles a couple years back, but he is unfortunately one of those people who just has money, and was like, all right, well, I'll fund Space Battles. You guys just run it properly, and then kind of just fucked off and didn't want to make too many administrative changes. And I was like, that's the dumbest fucking thing you could ever do. It's like, you own the fucking platform. Sit there and learn it so you can actually manage it properly. Don't just fuck off and be like, hey, people. You're like, if you buy a dying platform, why in the ever-loving fuck would you leave the people of the dying platform in charge? Because they're the reason why the platform is fucking dying.
And then not vetting your mods, who then in turn set the entire standard for the community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he just bought it and just like said, okay, you guys are doing you. Don't I don't care.
I no, it wasn't even I don't care. It's I don't want to interfere.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, what's the point?
Yeah. Then why'd you buy it? Like, if you genuinely want to keep Space Battles or any other website, if you genuinely want to keep these websites running, then you actually have to step in. You have to be like, okay, no, I'm going to put my foot down. You guys can't say this. You guys can't ban for this. If I see this going on, then there's going to be shit to pay, and you're probably just going to get fired or some shit. I don't know if they even pay those people, which I think the admins are actually paid. Because, it is a bit of an actual full-time job to be an admin of a massive website.
Ugh. That's cringe.
I mean, it's true, though. Like, it's one thing to be a moderator, but if you actually have to manage, like, the background code and, set up structures and meetings and all of that shit, that's no longer volunteer work. That's like, genuine organizational work. And Nexus over here, acting like he doesn't know what a fucking bookmarks bar is using likes to denote the last chapter he read.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Boomer
You
Maw.
start using likes?
Yeah, he
What?
uses. Yeah, the last chapter he liked is how he marks what last chapter he read.
Oh, Pedro does it too.
Man,
Oh,
that's
you
a
do-
great way
Jesus
to
Christ.
artificially inflate
The fuck?
ratings for
Right.
bad stories.
Right. Yeah. Congratulations,
Moth.
guys.
You are now part of the problem.
Yeah, not only are you part of the problem, you're also now 90 years old. Because I'm always exclusively on mobile. You have a bookmarks bar on mobile.
Yeah.
You can always bookmark on mobile too. What the fuck
Pick it
kind
up.
of excuse
It's not
is that?
that hard.
It's like, you're probably already bookmarking the story because you have to find it again somehow, so unless you keep the tab open at all times... No. Don't say
not
however.
however.
No,
There's no however there.
There's no caveat you can throw into this. I don't feel like it. Okay, Boomer.
This is almost as bad as the other day when a friend's like, "Oh, I can't read this Viz Media chapter on the app because of Google's Play Store policies. It's got to do it on the browser version." I'm like, you mean the mobile browser on your phone that you're reading this off of?
Yeah.
It's like, I forgot about that. You're welcome. You tech illiterate Zoomer.
Yeah, I swear, man. It's just it hurts. It hurts. The Zoomers and the Boomers. It's just like one's so old they're technologically inept, and one's so in the virtual sphere that they've actually become technologically inept.
It really is astounding.
I wait until I at least read 10 or so chapters and I've liked the story consistently before I start liking it.
After that, CA, I'm not dragging you into voice.
Yeah, you've lost your voice privileges for the night.
Only for the night?
I mean, you can always pay me for some other day.
I mean, if he gives enough money, Sneaky will
Bruh.
let him right now. Sneaky's moral high ground is pretty much non-existent.
Hey,
when it
look,
comes to
I have
stuff
a
like
moral
this.
high ground. It's just there's a lot of flexibility in it.
When it comes to stuff like this,
Yeah,
it's non-existent. You have strong morals. It's just
There's a
not
lot
for this.
of flex ground everywhere else. Yeah.
Apparently he did pay you.
Oh no, he subscribed. He gave me his monthly tithe. That's why you're allowed to stay.
Monthly tribute.
Oh god. Anyway, let's see. Death of the
Oh.
Warrior Jar, a video about the philosophy of Nietzsche and how it fits into Elden Ring. Okay, fuck off, author. 600 words as well. Cringe.
One of these days, I'm going to read some of Nietzsche's work, and I'm going to be astounded at how many people misinterpret it.
Oh, 100% they misinterpret it. No, 100% they misinterpret it. It's Nietzsche's work is supposed to be basically another form of Stoicism, but people take it as basically hedonism instead.
Are they taking it as hedonism or like nihilism? Like, what's the point of anything?
Well,
Because
one leads into the other.
I suppose I don't know enough about these two isms to really have a
Well,
to have an
nihilism
honest
is
discussion.
nothing
So,
matters, so why bother? And hedonism is only I matter, so why bother? And nihilism just tends to lead into hedonism, usually because the person reaches a point of depression where either they just start seeking out self-satisfaction for the sole purpose of feeding their ego, or they commit suicide. Or, they find some other religion to believe in, like communism. Or, communism. Yeah, a lot of nihilists end up either communists or hedonists, sometimes both.
how in the fuck does that work? Because communism is supposed to be all about the community in its ideal form.
Yes, well, you see, we're talking about the modern form of communism, not the
Oh, okay.
applicable form of communism. Yeah. Nietzsche is actually blamed a lot for like the rise of the Übermensch and fascism and whatnot, because he preached a lot about like, look, there is no God, basically, and the only person that can be held accountable to you is you, and so what you need to do is basically become the best person possible, because that's how you hold yourself accountable. Again, it's one of those guys who said a lot of things that make a lot of sense if you're intelligent, but if you're a fucking mouth-breathing retard, you read it, you go, oh, only I matter? Okay, I'm just gonna jack off and, touch kids and smoke cocaine.
So the left's entire philosophy, gotcha.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Alright, so it sounds like he says, be the best person you can be, and they hear, be the most selfish person you
Yes.
can be. Okay.
Yeah. Because what they take from it is that only I matter. If there's nothing, if I'm not held to any consequence due to the actions in my life, as in heaven, hell sort of thing that a lot of religions do, even like Buddhism and Shintoism have, their own variations of that. Then if nothing matters past the point of where I live, then no one else matters, and if it doesn't benefit me and if I don't enjoy it, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, partly due to his sister as well, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, Nietzsche was a stoicist in a really, really bad time to be a stoicist. Yeah. Anyway. Let's see what we got next. The Godless Age. Unknown number of years passed after a new tarnished rose from the mud and blood among the bodies of his fellow warriors to enter the lands between. Didn't even capitalize that. He embarks on a journey of pain, death, impossible odds. Love, friendship, truth, heartbreak, and this cruel, beautiful world. For how is a god to be born without great struggle? That's a lot of wordy words, and you only got 50 faves. So let's see how good you actually are, sir. Okay, so basically the first chapter is quite literally a bunch of purple prose mixed with the opening cutscene. And absolute inability to pay attention to grammar, not capitalizing people's names, arbitrarily inventing some AU story behind it all because apparently paying attention to the Elden Ring story was too much for you. Yeah. Okay. All of this is cringe, and they even fucked up his name later on. Cool. Congratulations, sir. You've written 180k words in the span of roughly, oh wow, that is actually very impressive. 180k words between July 9th and September 26th. It's really unfortunate that those 180k words are effectively garbage.
He tried.
Yeah, he tried. Yes. That homeless bum on the street also tried. to do some cocaine. There's this one dude blowing his dick. Such a good story, such an amazing story. Oh man, this is awesome. Such an amazing, fantastic story. This story is criminally underrated.
Don't worry, I'm sure they'll fix that soon.
Oh hey, look, Quartermass is here. Why has nobody favorited this story yet? Your story is excellently done, and you made lots of Berserk references.
Entire
Yeah.
Soulsborne series, a massive Berserk reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not
Like-
the author's credit. That's FromSoft's credit.
The fucking maker literally, like, wasn't there an interview saying it was a great inspiration and shit?
He's a massive Berserk mark,
Yeah.
and it started becoming super clear in Bloodborne.
Really?
It was well, okay.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot more obvious in Bloodborne.
I haven't read too much Berserk, so I didn't pick up on any of that.
In the previous Dark Souls games, there was Berserk references in the nature of like weapons and armor. That's more just like a nod, but in Bloodborne, it was more in theming and lessons and shit like that.
Well, there's straight up some sort of symbol in Bloodborne that is just straight up from
Oh
Berserk
yeah,
as well.
that
the
too,
Carol
yeah.
runes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to pour me out one real hot. Top it off with some more. Tubular. Okay. So that's how this night's going to start off. And according
Yeah.
to this one reviewer, we should be glad that I didn't sit down to read this, because we would probably read this for the next hour. The edgy atheist is strong in this story. I understand wanting to stick it to the greater will in this, but to not believe in gods at all in the lands between, despite literal, physical, magical, and spiritual evidence, is the most smooth-brained take I have ever seen. Hate the greater will? Sure. Think it's out to get you? Probably is. But to straight up write an edgy Reddit atheist that is against the very obvious real outer being magic is beyond baffling.
I mean, that's
Ah.
fair.
I'm going to fight
Yeah,
the
it
gods
is.
because I don't believe in them. Like, fucking hell, even Tanya acknowledges that being X is strong as fuck and maybe deserves to be called a god.
Yeah, like there's like atheist is about believing in that is worship. Isn't the whole thing about atheism about worshiping the god, not acknowledging them, or something?
Atheism is about the rejection of belief in gods at all. Agnosticism
Yeah.
is acknowledging that gods might exist.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation I got to have in college with we had an agnostic club at my university for some reason.
That's cool.
They were pretty chill. I liked them a lot more than the atheists I'd run into up to that point.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Agnostics are people who admit they don't know.
Yeah. The guy explained it best, like, atheists will deny it vehemently. We think there's something, but we don't know what it actually is.
Oh yeah, and
They're
then of course,
agnostics.
atheism ultimately splits into agnosticism and anti-theism. Yeah. You
And a whole lot of nihilism.
Yeah, you
Also-
don't stay as an atheist too long.
Also, my favorite version of an atheist I've seen is in 8-bit theater.
What's that?
It's an atheist priest. Is like, so how does this work then as a priest? Like, oh, well, see, I don't actually care about them. So they'll just give me whatever I want because they know that I have nothing to hide. You still deny their existence. Yep. And they still do you favors. Yep. Okay.
I mean, at that point, they're probably just doing it for the humor of it.
It can pretty much summed up as like every party knows where the other stands.
Yeah.
There is no ulterior motive at all.
For the
I
lulz.
should go read that comic again.
But
I wonder
yeah,
if it's still up somewhere.
but that's another thing, is that Sign probably could go into a rant about this. Is that a lot of people get Tanya wrong. when it comes to the atheism bit with her.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Catania's thing be summed up as like, I'm refusing to admit you're a god out of spite at this point.
Kinda, sorta.
Yeah,
More
more in the beginning, it was I reject the idea that you are the god.
yeah, basically.
Oh, okay, so this is less... I mean, this is less atheism, more just like healthy skepticism then.
Well, okay, it's at some point it's more along the lines of she comes to the conclusion that okay, yeah, you've got power and a whole lot of it, and you could be quantified as a godlike being, but you're not a god.
And God specifically in this form was because I don't know how it was done in the books, but in the anime, Being X introduced himself as the Almighty and All Powerful.
Right. Yeah, that is anime. In the books,
Yeah.
he did say something along those lines, but then brought in a whole bunch of other shit where it's basically all of religion rolls under him, pretty much. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, still claiming to be the god above all others. Yeah.
Not Yahweh specifically, but like an over god.
And that's what Tanya's specifically rejecting, because she acknowledges that, yeah, you are literally beyond powerful, and you probably can see everything on this planet, but I don't believe that you are the super over god that you make yourself out to be, because you have to literally lower yourself to my level to try and convince me to
grovel.
to grovel, yeah.
Yeah. Also that. Hang on.
I think that was actually one of the first things that the anime had her say is like, well, had him say at the time, is like I won't acknowledge you as the god, because if you were truly the god, I wouldn't have to be asked to grovel to you.
Yeah.
Which is a fair point. Like if some entity's claiming God and going worship me or else, it's like you're not much of a god.
Yeah, you're not much of a god if I have an option of not worshipping you. Oh god, but anyway. Stormvale Castle, 1 chapter, 5,000 words. I'm certain this is going to be an excellent story. Ronnie travels across the Lyrian High Road with her brother, Praetor Rickard, of course, to Stormvale Castle under the cover of night. They seek the traitorous Lusat, who commits crimes against the Golden Order at Rea Lucaria. Yes, Ronnie, a famous supporter of the Golden Order.
Definitely.
Someone didn't play the game.
Praetor Rickard, also a famous supporter of the Golden Order. Okay.
Well, I mean, before Ranny gave up her Praetorian flesh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but as far as we're aware in lore, Ronnie always kind of intended to do her own thing. Because she did initiate the whole Night of Long Knives.
Yes.
They seek the traitor's Lisa, blah, blah, blah. Godwyn the Golden awaits them at his regal seat on Storm Hill. Will they find aid or contention with Prince Godwyn? What deeper mysteries are yet to be discovered? So, like, they're trying to do, like, this prequel to Elden Ring AU. Which, yeah, I can see why only one favorite and follow was given here. Yeah. The Tarnish comes to Vare with an injury that needs treatment, and they have sex. Cool. No. Let's see here. Fallen Leaves. A Tarnished with no renown has done the impossible. He has burned the impenetrable thorns and has become Elden Lord. Alright. However, having a title and power means little unless one uses it. Alright. With Queen Marika, the Eternal returned. Oh, of course she's returned. Why not? And the rune of perfect order used to mend the Elden Ring, it's time to bring order back into the lands between. So really, it's just a story. Oh, okay, so Tarnished times Radagon times Marika. Interesting. Also, you're a supporter of Greater Will. Cringe plus L. Tales from the In-Between, the Godless Age compilation. The lands between has always existed in different names, times, ages, and ends. Not really. Yeah. These are the stories of the inhabitants that traveled, fought, lived, and changed the lands of hope and despair. A collection of short and long stories that take place before, during, and after the events of the Godless Age. The Godless Age? I guess that's what they're trying to call the Elden Ring game?
I think that's after the Elden Ring was shattered, it became the Godless Age or some shit. I don't know.
But it wasn't really, because everyone still went around calling a bunch of different people gods.
Yeah, admittedly, yes. But things did change.
Oh, well, yeah.
The only thing I can think that he might be referring to is that there's no real god in power. Like there's outer gods trying to influence shit, but there's no one in real power at the moment.
There's no one in Ascendancy. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay. I can see that. Still not really selling the story to me. Basically just, hey guys, I wrote a bunch of OC stories where all of the OCs in the story do stuff. And they're not really connected stories. And there's no greater overarching narrative beyond, hey, here's some short stories. So yeah. Nameless Tarnished! You aren't sure who you are or even where you are, but you do know one thing you must kill. No, I'm just kidding. The place you found yourself is dangerous and full of oddities. Luckily, you seem to be some type of immortal, though you aren't entirely sure that's a good thing. Well, no use crying over spilled milk, as they say. Alright, so no blatant shipping. Melina... Melina? Yeah, Melina. Melina, Ronnie, Tarnished, and Blade. Yeah. Alright, I mean, it could be good, could be bad. Warning, this is pretty much a copy and paste of my reader AU from Wattpad. Okay, never mind. I take back everything I've said about the story. Let's see what else we got here. Against the Frenzied Flame. As Lord of the Frenzied Flames sets the Erdtrean world ablaze, all hope seems lost. A bunch of people get together to go fight him and save the world from annihilation. I mean... I guess it could be kind of cool, except... not really. A story being told of a bunch of NPCs banding together to fight against the player character in the narrative, told from the perspective of the NPCs. I don't know. That kind of just seems hard to follow up with, if that makes any sense.
It ends with, and they all died.
Yeah, the story either ends with they all died or they won, and then there was no one really left to rule. And that's cool, I guess. The final blessing. On a wintry night, a traveler from the lands between paid a visit to a certain workshop located far beyond the fog. This is a story... wait, is this like Dark Souls 2? The workshop beyond the fog? Is this is either Bloodborne or Dark Souls 2, isn't it? Max?
Yeah, it's Bloodborne.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah. Oh, journey of one of those froggy boys of the incest lake. Yeah, can't imagine that's going to be overly riveting. Local red main knight witnesses the shattering. Lands between is a place full of tarnish. I mean, at least this person acknowledges that their story is only good as a one-shot, 7,000 words. Hey, so that might be good. Full of drama, though. The grammar looks fine. Not super interested in it. Doesn't look like he's doing walls of text either. So, hey, there's that. So if you want to check that out, check it out. I'll link it in the Discord. I want to see something involving the Clean Rot Knight. Unlikely to happen. Sorceress, no memory. Vagabond, trouble task. Oh, it's a co-op playthrough. Wow. Cool. Except for the small issue with the co-op playthrough is that one of them has to become Elden Lord in total in the end. Or, you know, something in the end. Beyond just killing everything. Because that doesn't actually... just killing everything and then no one becoming an Elden Lord actually is actually a bad end. Even though there's a lot of bad ends attached to the Elden Lord ending, it's just a bad end in general if you just leave everyone dead.
Runny ending for best ending.
Pretty much, actually. It's pretty much the only ending that actually ends well. Because...
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, like, the other endings are, okay, you reform the Golden Order, which is cringe. You reform the Golden Order in your image, which your image is... I'm the Greater Will now, which is kind of cringe. But it's still placing all of the power concentrated into a single person, and it's kind of still subjugating everyone. So I mean, it's the least worst ending that involves you still becoming the Elden Lord. Because the other endings are everyone gets cursed, and the other ending is everyone starts dying to fell rot, and the other ending is everything dies to fire. So yeah, Ronnie being like, okay, I'm going to take all of this power and I'm going to leave with it, and you guys can figure out how to live with normal amounts of power, is pretty much the best ending.
Just whatever you do, don't eat a dragon heart. Otherwise, the French horror sets in.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed there wasn't a dragon ending. Based on the, Huh?
Yeah, there should have been.
Yeah, there really should have been, because, like, your eyes actually gain a dragon-y look to them once you consume a certain number of dragon hearts. And there really should have been some sort of dragon-y ending.
Not to mention there was like there was a dragon Elden Lord at one point, lore-wise, so it's like you could have made another Age of Dragons.
Yeah.
It's one heart, and you become a lava worm, or magma worm, excuse me.
I thought that was just for people that failed the Ascension.
No, I'm not entirely certain. Everything I've read says it happens to everyone, but I could be wrong, or the people I've been listening to could be wrong. One or the other.
I'm sure Vadi will make a video about it someday.
Last Smo I think did a video on the Dragonheart thing, but I could be wrong. He's fairly comprehensive, though he can get a bit somewhat repetitive with his points, but I think he does decent well.
Let's see. The Knight of Graven Magic, the Graven School of Mages, a nightmare that would haunt the Academy, Dark Knight, Grandmaster, Ray Lucaria, Elden Ring's many secrets, Ronnie point of view because she's a pivotal character. Cringe. Greater Will brought forth a tarnished from Earth. Really? We're going with Isekai? Okay. The whole idea of tarnished was that they weren't touched by the Greater Will.
Or the greater will was stripped from them, like what was his name? Godfrey. He lost his grace and got cast out.
Yeah, but he wasn't a tarnished.
I thought he was resurrected among the tarnished.
Yeah, but he wasn't a tarnished.
Oh.
That's why ultimately he could never become Elden Lord, because of he thought by grafting enough tarnished into him he would be able to like overcome his inability to.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
Oh, Godric the Golden. I'm thinking the other. What's his name? Horlu.
Horlu?
Wait. He was the guy you fight at the end, just before the greater will fight.
That's that's Radagan.
No, the guy before him.
Oh, the all-knowing dude.
Who is he? The one? It's the guy with the big axe and the lion on his back.
Remember, there's like 100 and some odd bosses, so
Fair
you
enough.
gotta get real specific.
Yeah, that doesn't really narrow it down too good. Yeah, Radagan. That's Radagan.
I thought Radigan was the guy with the hammer you fight before the Elden Beast.
No, I mean maybe, but
yeah, I'm on the wiki. Yeah, he's the guy with the hammer you fight.
You sure?
Apart.
I thought he was the Star Scourge guy you fought in the desert.
No,
that's
Radagon.
Radagon. That's Radagon. Yeah. Radagon.
See what I mean?
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Unfortunately, they decided to go with the Lord of the Rings naming method.
Yeah.
Also the Lord of the Rings naming method mixed with the Japanese naming method. This is a Kane. This is a Khan. This is a Kari. This is a Kana. It's like, oh Jesus Christ! Please, no more AKs. I can't keep track of them. Also, they're all spelled almost the exact same except for like one letter difference. The Great Warrior Jar and the crippled Albernic Archer travel together to save the day. That's yeah, no.
Crack fig.
Yeah, pretty much. An isekai, a man simply trying to make something of himself and failing. Failing? That's failing. A man fated to fail in the race to become Elden Lord. Nathaniel was a weak man, but to return home, it's necessary he must embark on the road where he is destined to die, although he does have a maiden that will make his burden easier to carry. OC times his waifu. Okay, yeah, saw that coming. Oh yeah. Godfrey, horror. God, fucking Japanese,
Mary
man.
the First Empyrean. Oh fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's a straight up call out for Mary Sue or something. It has to
It's
be.
gotta be. Journey of the First Empyrean. Mary, after being gifted with great power by the Great Will, she'll need to keep a watchful eye out for agents of the other outer gods, as well as set up the most bare bones and humble foundations of her new order while she waits for her coming of age, and the great adventure will begin. Cringe.
Absolute Mary Sue.
Literal Mary Sue. I was actually around before the Tarnished, so that's why I'm gonna win. Very cool. Another one-shot. I'm messing around with the lore of Elden Ring. It becomes larger than I anticipated. One shot. 2,000 words. Bruh.
Weak.
It became larger than I anticipated. So there will be a second chapter. It's another 1,000 words.
He's messing with Elden Ring lore, and he can only muster up 2,000 words.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The summary of this story is actually, That's right. We haven't even gotten to the summary of the story. While Melania sleeps, 2 loyal knights protect the Howling Tree until she awakens. Really? Okay, so that's what this story is going to be. This is you messing with the lore of Elden Ring, is 2 guys standing in front of the tree. Really?
Oh my god, it's red versus blue.
Yep.
Why are we here?
Okay, to be fair, that was a good joke back in the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The whole philosophical response of like, no, you idiot. I mean, why are we literally standing here? Oh. We were ordered to. Oh, yeah. Ronnie and the horrible, annoying, obnoxious, tarnished, rated M for crude language. Oh. Yeah, that's riveting.
M for fucking language.
Yeah. The war in the lands between. My attempt at covering the war against the Flame of Ruin and the Renala Radagon War with a marriage plot. 2 chapters, 3,000 words. Ah, yes. I see. Ah, yes. Your attempt at covering literally the entirety of the lore before Elden Ring game. You're doing great, author. You're doing great, author. Oh god. Oh, the crossover section's even more anemic. And
Neon
sadly
Vendetta is
actually has
prevalent.
9 more stories than Elden Ring. Non-crossovers. At Dark Souls, Elden Ring, cringe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was reading one story that was Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and I think it was Space Battles, where he was just like, yeah, got to the end of Dark Souls 3, that whole shit happened, and then Elden Ring was like built upon the world of Dark Souls in his story. And it's like, all right, okay, so basically we got a dude that beat Dark Souls 3 with the distant fire ending. So that was the killing the Firekeeper and absorbing the soul of Cinder ending. I think it was. So we have that guy of that power level showing up in Elden Ring. And I was like, alright, this could be amusing. You know, no one's giving him souls when he kills them because all of their souls are still bound by the greater will and all of that jazz. And I was like, alright, this could be interesting. But it's dead, very dead, understandably dead, because you know it's kind of really hard to mesh those 2 worlds together in a way that doesn't take a bajillion of words to do it all. A Naruto Elden Ring story. Are you guys ready for this? Because it's by everyone's favorite author, Neon Zangetsu.
He's made so many fics in that section. It's annoying.
Let's be real. He's not making fics. He's just dribbling ideas.
Yeah, it's just
Like
diarrhea coming out of his mouth. Because this is something else.
he
No
never
one
grew out of that phase of writing everything you first think of.
Yeah. Well, not only that, also some other little key parts. No one is immune from failure. All have tasted the bitterness of defeat and disappointment. Well, except for Melania, because she's never tasted defeat. just ignore all those times she got defeated. A warrior must not dwell on failure, but learn from it, adapt, and continue on. As I did. I claimed the power for their sake. Now I'm gonna use it. Time to change the world! Naruto times Giga Harem!
I'm sorry, did you say cancer?
Yes, I did. Pretty much Naruto times every female. Somehow.
Always the best option.
Yeah. Elden Monarch, the bearer of the curse, finally managed to complete his objective. With the crown on his head, he has escaped the cycle. That's factually false if you're talking about fucking Dark Souls. But when it all seems to be over, Alden was dragged into the lands between, caught between a war of demigods. The bearer of the curse was placed into another unwanted mission. At least here, there are many beautiful maidens in this land. So cringe. Anyway. Oh boy, A Song of Ice and Fire and Elden Ring. I'm certain these two fucking stories are completely compatible.
Actually, GRRM wrote a lot of the shit for Elden Ring, so kinda, yeah.
I'm sorry, did you actually just spell out his initials instead of just calling him Grim like most people?
Yes, I did.
Alright, interesting quirk.
A
I'm sorry,
Song of
people call him what?
Grim.
I do also call him G.R.R. Martin.
George R.R. Martin.
That is still such a fire line from the Tolkien versus Martin rap. You ever see that sign?
Epic rap battles?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that specific one.
Oh, it's great. Basically, they have Tolkien say, you know, Martin, you've ripped off everything from me. You know, the castles, the dwarves, the elves. You know, all of my plot. You've just copied it again. You even stole my RR.
Oof.
And it's like, ooh, damn.
Sick burn.
Oh God. But yeah, Valeria has long endured in legend and myth, consuming the minds of those that yearn for treasure and dragons. Ancient dragon Lanisax is the greatest of the dragons that remained in the land between. Finds himself thrust into Valeria? Yeah, Valeria. Into the... Huh?
Valeria.
Valeria, okay. Okay. My bad. Into an eternal cataclysm and must flee lest fouler beasts catch her scent within the doomed city. So, the one dragon that turned into a waifu shows up during the fall of Valeria. Yeah, Dragon D's nuts indeed, Nexus. Dragon D's nuts indeed.
You knew that was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, one of the dragons turned into a waifu, Isley. Yeah. She wanted to promote greater relations between humanity and the dragons after the dragons assaulted the capital.
Oh, she promoted some relations, alright.
Accidentally started a cult. Was that was about in the Cambrian ER story? Yes, that was about it. Yep. So yeah, here we got a Ruby Elden Ring story, which of course, again, it just meshes perfectly, I'm sure.
I'm sorry, a what?
Ruby Elden Ring.
Yeah, I was walking out of the room and that's what I thought I heard you say. No, that just, no. No.
The thumb armor. Shattered Rune Arc. John Arc wanted to be a hero, to be someone his ancestors and family would be proud of. But even after becoming a tarnished, so a failure, failure continued to haunt him through his journey in the lands between. Now, having returned to Remnant as the Elden Lord, John, just becomes the sole dictator of the world. Fucks off, goes back to Remnant. All right, I mean, that's certainly a Ronnie-like ending, I guess. Oh, of course, it's a Ronnie-like ending because Ronnie's involved. John swore he would do whatever it takes to never fail again. He swore to fulfill his friend and mentor's dying wish, protecting Ruby Rose. His friend and mentor made him swear to protect Ruby.
Okay.
I don't even know who his friend and mentor would be, honestly. Like, Crow?
It's summer.
Oh, you know what? You're right, probably. I hate it. Alright, so yeah, Nyan Zengetsu wrote like 9 more stories. We got Some Tales Are Never Told, others are grim, Naruto times Giant Harem. One with the Spirits. Isn't it remarkable how one can be so weak, yet with a kind word lift spirits? 3 words, they change your life forever. One with Spirits, the dead will rise, Golden Order will tremble, Naruto times Rodrika, Naruto times Giant Harem. Queen Marika ruled with pride. All bowed before her, lands between were hers. Men wanted to be with her, women wanted to be her. All who dared to defy her were put to sword. Such was the way of things, and not until she met Naruto. He was the one man who dismissed her. Who is he? What does he want? Naruto times Marika, Naruto times Giant Harem. Forget me not. They say life is a wonderful thing, that nothing lasts forever. We all rot, blah, blah, blah. Naruto times millennia, Naruto times Giant Harem. Pairing undecided.
Get tested for cancer.
Indeed. You should all visit your doctor after this and get screened for cancer.
No need, I can already feel the bumps forming.
Goblin Slayer Elden Ring. Okay, alright. Okay. Okay. Age of Adventure. The Age of Stars is ending. Okay, so Ronnie ending. Got it. With the Golden Order now gone, the Outer Gods step in to exert their influence. The resulting explosion of chaos caused by the Tarnished and Ronnie to be blasted off into lands unknown to them. Now separated, they must reunite before they can try going back home. But as they travel, the forces of the new world may not be so kindly. Leave them be. Okay. You're starting to lose me, author. So it's Elden Lord Tarnished times Ronnie, who somehow got ejected from the world into Goblin Slayer world, and somehow plot conspires to keep them separated.
If the Outer Gods could have yeeted anyone off of that planet, they would have done it a long time ago.
Yeah. And with, you becoming the Elden Lord, you basically become the new force of reality in the area, so the Outer Gods still can't eat you away.
Nope.
What's the point of having an OP character in Goblin Slayer? Yeah, it kind of does defeat the purpose. Speaking of which, have you ever seen the Red Dead Redemption Goblin Slayer crossover called Gunslinger?
Has that updated at all since you first introduced me to that?
It is not.
Oh, good. So it's just fully dead.
It's fucking dead.
It's sad. It was interesting.
Is it good?
Oh, it's very good. So basically, the Red Dead Redemption 2 story plays out. John Marston dies, and on his deathbed, basically, one of the gods...
Arthur Morgan,
my bad. Arthur Morgan dies, and one of the gods, I believe it was, comes before him and is like, hey, you want a tale of redemption? You want to redeem yourself? Well, here's how you do it. Go into this world, be a hero. And yeah, and so he gets his guns, and he gets to travel the world of Goblin Slayer with his guns, trying to be a hero. And of course, he teams up with Goblin Slayer occasionally, but he does other things.
And somehow has infinite ammo.
That's specifically the one power they gave to him, is that his bullets recharge over time.
And his guns never fail or break?
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, the author never had that be relevant, so yeah, probably.
Fair enough.
Cause I mean, Arthur Morgan even then was like, in the story, he was like, look, all I'm good is at shooting and killing. And the god was like, okay, you know what, that's fair enough. I'll let you take one of your long guns and one of your pistols with you. And I'll enchant them to make sure that they're, you never run out of ammo permanently and that they don't break. Yeah, the Gunslinger. Yeah.
But does he get a waifu?
Not
that we saw?
Sort of ish. If you consider Priest Girl to be the waifu of Goblin Slayer, then by that definition, yes. If not, then no.
Bear in mind, I haven't actually seen Goblin Slayer. I've kind of been avoiding it.
Honestly, the first season's completely worth watching. It really is. They did an excellent job in the anime.
I just didn't want to watch Goblin Grape.
I mean, it doesn't really. They don't really show it. It's all. Yeah, it's all off screen. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just stick to the manga or the light novel if you don't want to touch the anime.
Yeah, that too. The manga's pretty good as well. Yeah. I specifically like the visual medium of Goblin Slayer because the visuals are very cool.
Man, when the red eye activates.
Yes, the red eye is
They
also
put a lot of effort into that eye.
Yeah. Yeah, the OST is also absolutely a banger.
Yeah, I just didn't like how they aired a couple events out of order in the last 3 episodes from what I heard.
Yeah.
They basically swapped the arc under that one city with the priest lady with the blindfold, and swapped it with the whole goblin invasion.
Yeah, which is not great because that goblin invasion was fantastic where it was set in the light novel because of the build up to it.
I understand kind of why they
watched,
did it.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know if it just improves the pacing of the anime. Because
Yeah,
adapting light novels
it
to
kind of
anime
does.
is
I watched it. I read the light. I didn't read the light novel. I read the manga and then I watched the anime. And overall, my opinion of the anime was, while they changed the chronology of some of the events, the order they changed it to made it feel like it flowed better.
Yeah, because the whole fight was this whole big grand finale for the whole show, compared to the initial arc it would have ended at, which wasn't really as glorious, I'll say.
Yeah.
So it worked story-wise. It worked better. As a fan of the manga and stuff, I wasn't too pleased, but I'll say it fit fine for the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that's what it was. It's just, I might get to the anime, I might not. I don't know. I've still got a massive backlog of mecha anime.
I will always recommend Goblin Slayer anime, if only because that fucking red eye. Those are good scenes. Those are good scenes. Yeah.
The clips that I have seen of the fights are like, wow, they definitely knew where
they
to
went.
Put the budget.
The entirety of the budget went into those scenes.
Because I remember people like, oh god, this 3D model's not great, and then the first actual action scene happens, like, wait, the 3D model's gone. Oh, okay. We now know where the budget saving measures
Yeah.
were applied.
It is time for the fight. Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of one scene with the he gets whacked by the giant goblin under the city. I thought that scene was actually underwhelming compared to the manga, but yeah, the red eye was always one of the highlights of each of the season.
Anyway, this whole section's fucking cringe. Is it wrong to go on a 1,000-year journey to Genki? The Tarnished and Ronnie go to the blah 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 cringe ass shit. Don Machi occurs. Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on in the light novel currently.
Of Don Machi?
Well, because I stopped
do.
following it because the light novel translations were getting slower and slower here in the West.
The
So I
basic
dropped
gist
off
is,
like 2020, I think.
the basic gist is Freya's gone a bit overboard.
Oh, good. So she finally just snapped.
More or less, she basically she unleashed her charm and full power, and she's basically I remember her basically hijacking effectively almost everyone's mind in Aurario, and I think the one naval city.
Wait, no, that's actually illegal though.
Wait.
Actually, it's technically it is, but it also is legal because it's not part of her fauna. Yeah.
but wait, that's illegal. Yeah, but the police force is in love with me now, so...
Yeah. Basically, she just goes haywire, and she tries to basically make Belle fall in love with her, but his one skill that prevents her being charmed makes it basically impossible.
Wait, he has a skill that's anti-charm?
Yes.
Yes.
His Realis phrase prevents him from being charmed.
Really?
Yes.
You know what? Considering that's supposed to be like a skill of a hero, that actually makes a lot of sense. Because a hero who can be easily charmed goes villain real fast.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to the Naruto section, because they always have some good laughs.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
always, definitely.
Yeah.
It's no way you're lying to us right now.
No. Naruto section is a fantastic section. There is never anything bad in the Naruto section.
I've never read a bad fanfic there at all.
No. No cringe to be found here. Just ignore all of the stories currently on the screen.
Stop!
Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
In Naruto with Gamer System, a man that never found purpose in life even at last moment in his deathbed with his family surrounding him, he still felt emptiness of his heart. With deep regrets, he finally closed his eyes for one last time, or so he thought.
Oh,
You
I'm
can
pretty sure we've
support
seen
me on
this.
Patreon and give me money if you wish to read 16 chapters ahead!
Sneaky, we've seen this one before.
I know, but still, it's a great one.
It's
Sorry,
still
how
updating.
many chapters? 16 chapters ahead.
Yeah,
By the way, he's
dude's sitting at
283.
dude's sitting at 283 chapters.
Wait. Oh, the word count's way smaller than I
16
thought it would be.
Yeah, it's like 2k words
fucking
per chapter, like less than 2k actually.
Okay then. So he's got a few books.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
got a few.
also it's been over the course of a year. He wrote 500,000 words almost. So. Let's go to the Naruto section. Even Twitch just crashed. Lamol.
Nice.
God. Naruto, Bloody Journey. Naruto Uzumaki was not a normal boy.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
Because that's what they wrote.
Stop.
He was a
Bad.
Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox.
Bad,
Naruto
Snakey,
will
bad.
have a life unlike any other, full of death and betrayal. Will he save the world and become its hero, or will he die?
I'm sorry. Unlike any other. With death and betrayal. You mean a normal ninja life?
Yeah, normal ninja life, yeah. Naruto times question mark? Sorry for my spelling. Naruto has a blood limit. Wow, it's just, oh.
Just what Ninja Jesus needs.
Oh no!
Oh, balls attack.
What
Your
the
favorite.
fuck are you? Oh my god. Please tell me I'm not seeing this. Is he having just like a massive wall of text, random talking? Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, it's
Why?
a wall of text, several people shouting, some fucking capitalized screaming going on here. Oh boy.
What the fuck did you just subject me to?
Hey,
Words.
That's a lot of words. God damn it, Sneaky.
Hey, look, I provide a very valuable service sign.
Don't lie.
No, hear me out here, hear me out. So as Max had this revelation the previous night, because he was like, man, I feel really bad about my story and how I'm kind of giving the, Shiro all of these gamer powers. And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, Max. I just read a story. What was it?
a time skip of 20 years in which an alternate Grail War, all the heroes of Berserker survived, so they could help Shiro access 100% of Unlimited Blade Works, I think.
You could also, well, Max, you could have written a 20-year time skip into the future after a massive AU Grail War in which all of the summoned heroes except Berserker got together to help Shiro to become a hero. Also, all of the summoned heroes just happened to be ones that could teach Shiro valuable lessons of martial or intellectual or magical pursuits. And also, he has unlimited blade works, but it's even better than normal unlimited blade works because all of the heroes that were summoned gave him some really powerful, noble phantasms to call upon. And also, it's taking place in a DxD crossover.
I'm sorry, what?
To which I respond, that was very specific.
That was way too specific. What the fuck?
I was just like, yeah, don't
Which
worry.
his response was, that's what I just read last night.
Yeah.
Which immediately made me feel better.
I provide
my
a very valuable service. Just remember, if you ever feel bad about your writing,
Sneaky's found worse.
I have found way worse.
Fair enough.
Like, I was like, oh man, I'm feel kind of weird about the way I'm doing this. The Holy Grail War is going to be a speed run, blah, 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 blah. And he gives him that example. You know what? I feel better about my story now.
Yeah.
It's honestly sad when you can look at other people's work and go, okay, I'm not as bad.
Or
Maybe
like,
it's not that bad.
I had an author's note in the latest chapter of Undying Scarab because we just updated. Yeah. Woo. We're now completing the second book. Yay. But we just updated, and I had a part of my author's note was like, someone mentioned that my fight scenes take way too long. None of my fight scenes have ever lasted more than a chapter, and most just end at the end of the scene. And yet, there's 1,000+ people out there that pay Parcassius a living wage to write the DBZ fight scenes in written format. It's like, I don't want to hear people complain about how my stories are taking too long.
Different
I pay
standards.
him a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I know different strokes for different folks, but still. I also, oh, Max, I didn't tell you this part. So I did receive the highest compliment I could ever receive as an author. Reading your story has made me want to play WoW, and I don't even like WoW.
Damn.
Nice.
That actually is a massive compliment to receive in your
Yeah.
writing.
I consider that an absolute victory.
Especially because you yourself dislike WoW.
Oh, I massively
this
dislike WoW now. Yeah, it's unfortunate what it's become, but yeah. And but back to back to Jesus.
Back to this nonsense.
Naruto, Lord of the Demons.
Oh God.
Okay.
Inspired by Story Writer 19's Root Naruto. What happens when you let a Jinchuriki be raised by a demon to become the next ruler of the demons?
Oh, this fucking
He
trope.
becomes the next ruler of the demons and wonders what the fuck he's doing.
You mean
It's like-
literally like half of all the edgy Naruto fics ever?
Yeah. Also, it is the year 2022, and someone is still writing the fucking tailed beasts as demons AU. Like, that's like 2007 era.
Before that.
Yeah, that was like back in the day when we had literally no information on them, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, well they're called demons and shit in the English translation, so I guess they're demons or something."
Yeah, that was way before we started understanding the intricacies of the way Japanese approach that folklore versus Westerners approach it.
Yeah.
Or you mean more likely the ass pulls of Kishimoto?
Yes, but also Japanese.
Also, the actual like they're closer to monsters than they are Western demons and devils. So
Well, yeah.
translation's hard. Massive respect to anyone who can translate accurately and not completely lose the thread.
So speaking of translation hard and translators being translators, right? So Moth was talking about a story he was reading recently, and he was talking about how disjointing it was that a bunch of people from Europe in that story in the English fan translation were still using san and kun and chan in the English translation
Oh God, no.
when they're also from Europe. And the translator note was like, yeah, well, it just looks weird if you don't put that in. It's like, bruh. If you don't understand why San, Kun, and Chan and Onisama are used instead of the name of the person, then you just fundamentally don't understand A, Japanese, and B, Japanese culture.
You could even just use Mr. and Miss and other terms of respect for stand-ins. Goddamn.
Right, but it's also shit like
entirely.
well, sort of.
Not one-to-one, no.
Not well. This is partially on the Japanese author for continuing with Japanese honorifics in a European-based setting.
Yeah.
Like, say what you will, I've seen a few manga artists that are like, yeah, hey, artists, why aren't you using Japanese honorifics of these characters? Like, they're not from Japan. Why would they use these?
Fair, yeah. But I had a little bit of a rant on that whole subject because it's like in Japanese culture, you refer to your sister as like honorable older sister because Japanese culture places a high emphasis on family and a high emphasis on hierarchy, and Western cultures don't. They just don't. You use respectful addresses, such as, my lord, blah, 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 to nobles and shit, but you don't call your father honorable father. You call your father dad. Or father, at most.
Or sir, if you're in trouble.
Or sir, yeah.
Or you get in trouble.
And, you don't call your older sister or honorable older sister. You call your older sister by their name. Or a shorthand of their name.
Or, like, sometimes younger kids will use sissy or brother or something.
Right.
But they usually grow out of that.
Okay, so Moth is correcting me. They said we use Nissan and so yeah, they didn't translate when they used Nissan and shit like that. They didn't translate that to brother and sister because people don't call brother and sister in casual conversation. And the previous scanlation group was using Mr. and Mrs. and shit. And
oh, yeah, okay, well, a precedent had already been set then. That makes it even worse.
Well, there's that as well, yeah. But it's still a moment of like English operates differently as a language than Japanese does because in Japanese, if you actually listen to Japanese when you're watching the subs, you'll hear them mention the nouns a lot more than English does.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a sentence that in English might translate to, I got the blah, 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 I climbed the hill or something, we climbed the hill. In Japanese, it would be like, Oni-san and I, blah, 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 climbed the hill. And it's shit like that it's very different in how its nouns and sentence structure occurs. And so that's why they always say shit like the noun constantly when they're talking to each other, because how their language is structured has to clarify the noun constantly.
Well, that's because it's a language of implications. Like, you never actually come out and say anything straight up, you always imply.
Meanwhile, English is a language of implications in the complete opposite direction, where you just assume that everyone knows what you're talking about.
Exactly. like the whole Nissan and Nissan thing. It's understood in Japan who you're talking about when you say it, but to an English person, okay, he could be talking about his brother or his sister, or you could be talking about some older person on the street, or like sensei. It means fucking doctor, teacher, or anybody who's basically your senior sometimes.
Yeah, anyone you basically look up to is also possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or authors, things like that.
Yeah, so it's and then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, how do you fucking sit there and translate a story and then not understand that fundamental shift in interpretation?
Ask 7Cs, they do it all the time.
Fair.
Are people who fail to properly translate English loan words.
Yeah. So anyway, we thought this Ruler of Demons story was terrible. Don't worry, it gets worse.
It gets worse.
Of course it gets worse. And there's more.
Why are you surprised? You've
What
been on
about
the show at least 7 times now.
Keeps surprised. It's like watching a train wreck, okay? How could it get worse? Why does it keep getting worse? It can't possibly get worse.
Billy
It
May's
keeps
here,
getting
and don't
worse.
worry, there's more!
Oh look, that train crash. Oh look,
Oh no,
plane
there's another
crashing into
train!
it.
Oh god, there's a missile incoming!
Oh look, a cargo plane crashed into it.
Yeah, so
Somehow.
don't, but wait, there's more!
Just clown car music.
Oh, a clown car crashed into it now. Now the clowns are dying.
Call now and you can receive man pregnancy, yaoi, and sex!
Oh god.
I need an adult.
Unfortunately for you, Sneaky is an adult.
Indeed.
Oh no.
I need a different adult. Oh god, but yeah, it's like, Howard, this child is raised to become the ruler of the demons. Also, he's a total submissive and will get fucked up the ass until he has a child.
It's impreg.
Oh yeah, man pregnancy, yeah. Yeah. I wasn't lying when I shouted, but wait, there's more. Also, this story's been ongoing since 2015.
No, it hasn't.
25 chapters, 42,000 words, 7 years running. I'm sorry, buddy, but you gotta let this story lie. You gotta put it down. You can't keep dragging the corpse out like that.
He's gonna keep beating that dead horse.
There ain't a
can't
dead
stop
horse to
him.
beat anymore. It's rotted. It's gone. It's nothing but bone dust.
It's nothing but glue.
He had it stuffed.
Yeah, it stopped. In both senses of the word.
Oh god, did you have to go there?
Hey, you brought it up.
I regret everything.
Good. My job is complete. Past and futures changed path. What if 8 years ago it was different? What? What if Naruto didn't leave the village? What? Oh, AU of my other story. Okay, so let's read his other story. Distant pasts and grand futures. After discovering that he is a Jinchuriki, Naruto decides to leave the village, and they let him.
Yes, the living nuke ran away. We're gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Hiruzen, the only child of your favorite student, and the living nuclear bomb has run away. Oh, okay, let him. He deserves a childhood. After 8 years, and soon his friends notice his changes. Wait, what?
What friends? He
What?
left.
He had no friend. When he found out he's a Jinchuriki, he had no friends.
Like, the closest of friends he might have had was just being acquaintances with Shikamaru, what's his name? Akamaru?
Shikamaru, Choji, and
Kiba.
Kiba.
Yeah, they kind of got in trouble or played pranks together or something. I remember there being
Yeah.
a passing scene. That was the closest of friends he had. By that
pranking.
point.
They weren't even like school friends. They were friends only when they were pranking in school. So they were circumstantial partners in crime acquaintances.
Well, maybe he's talking about friends he made on his journey?
No, because he's returning to the village after 8 years. So it's talking about the friends that he made before he left.
Well, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but no.
And soon his friends noticed his changes. It's like, also, by the way, you've been gone for 8 fucking years. Like, even if you personally don't think you've changed a bunch, you've actually changed a bunch in 8 years. Just period. Just by existing. You've changed a bunch in 8 years. Like, when that doesn't occur anymore, like, that's like around 60. When you start going from 60 to 70 to 80, it becomes a very slow gradient of you changing. You're pretty much not changing past 60. You're just getting worse. Some organs just don't last that long. Unfortunately, by the way, speaking of organs and not lasting that long, the brain only lasts about 110 years.
Oh, that's lovely.
In terms of maximum lifespan, it doesn't last that long compared to like your liver, which actually lasts like twice the lifespan of your brain. Well, that's specifically because it's made to, because it has to regenerate so much.
Liver's just built different.
Liver just be built different here. Yeah.
Your brain does actually regenerate a little bit.
Oh yeah, your brain regenerates and you do retain some neuroplasticity, but and then they did actually recently find that people with Alzheimer's actually significantly improved if they became extremely physically active and, you know, did shit like crossword puzzles every day and stuff. But still, there's a limit. You know, each organ has its own lifespan, maximum lifespan. Actually, if we let's see if we
Is it research time?
Oh, it's research time.
Oldest living person was 122, and of course it was a woman because women outlast men by at least 10 years.
Yeah, 10 to 15 years on average, yeah.
Yep.
Because, you know...
Why?
Well, I mean, we all know why. Fucking testosterone's a hell of a drug.
Well, also lack of stress on their part versus stress on a man's part.
Also, testosterone's a hell of a... testosterone is actually lethal.
Oh, yeah, this too.
Like they did I've read the studies, and it's like testosterone just being like, if you introduce testosterone to women, their lifespan goes down by 5 to 10 years.
Oof.
Like testosterone, just period in general, being in your body in large amounts just kills you faster.
Isn't testosterone responsible for destroying the bridge between the brain hemispheres?
Something like that as well, yeah. There's a lot of things testosterone destroys in your body, and the fact of the matter is that life was just like, look, there is way worse chemicals out there, and this was the best of the worst chemicals that did everything we needed it to. And it's like, all right, well, fair enough, life.
The trade-off is men are fertile up until their 90s sometimes.
Also, their bone structure is incredibly more dense, and their muscles are more dense, and the pain tolerance is far higher, and resistance to shock is higher. There's a lot of things that testosterone does that is just fantastic, but at the same time, it kills you.
It's worth it in the end to be a Superman.
Skin, muscles, bone, and eyes start to decline around age of 40. Kidneys last until around 30. Brain functions start declining around 70, and they have apparently never actually put down a actual age on the liver.
Good job, liver.
Liver just be like that.
He's a real team player.
He takes one for the team, all right, yeah.
Especially in your case.
Yeah. Digestive tract and liver are the most long-lived and are very little affected in healthy elders due to their high regeneration rate. Yeah. That's very cool. The more you know. I say as I casually sip a fist of vodka.
A fist, not a fifth?
A fist, yeah. I can fit my fist into the cup I'm drinking the vodka out of. Comparing him to the fox boy they once knew. Unfortunately, he arrives at the time when the Yakutski are hunting the Bijous. Oh, conveniently, of course. You know, the Yakutski conveniently wait an extra 6 years before they start hunting the Bijou, just so Naruto can get home.
That sure was nice of them.
Yeah, it's very generous of them.
Itachi hooked him up like that. He's just a bro.
They're just bros, yeah. In the middle of this chaos, what can happen? What happened after the accident? That is something I do like doing whenever I'm in casual conversation with people, where I'll just mention something, and then I'll be like, you know, after the accident. And then just keep going as if I hadn't said that. After the wolf attack. So then he has a parallel story called Past and Future's Changed Path. Of what if 8 years ago it was different? What if Naruto never left the village? Well, canon Naruto would probably happen. Just throwing that curveball out there of if he never left the village, canon Naruto probably just happened instead. So, yeah. The Raging Vermilion Whirlpool Shinobi! The Uzumaki clan still lives and thrives with its newest addition, Naruto Uzumaki, who has more secrets in his life, begins his adventure to unravel them fully and surpass those in his family, village, and world. With the help of a certain fox and his clan, things will get easier and harder for Naruto as the future of the clan returns to the scene of Konoha. Kind of cringe, to be honest. Really generic as well. And what in the absolute fuck is this profile picture?
Send a link. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. He's supposed to be wearing a mask and some kind of shit. Are those tails?
Yeah.
Those are tails.
Those are tails. Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's got the Yondame's cloak.
Yep. Of course. Why not?
And big poofy pants, because, you know. It's dumb and I hate it.
So funny little story time before we get to the next story again. You know, I just want to keep it interspersed. You know, funny little story. So, my older stepbrother, has gotten married. But back when he was still dating her, his wife, the first time we met was during a Christmas party, I believe it was. And I was drinking heavily. And she was like, oh, well, you know, I should make sure he doesn't drink too much. So I'll just drink as much as he does. Because she was also a pretty big drinker as well. And she's like, oh, well, I can keep up with him.
Bad idea.
No. It got about halfway into our quote-unquote drinking competition where I popped open a bottle of 72% bourbon. A special little homemade blend that I purchased. And she's like, holy shit. I'm like, well, I'm going to pour a shot for me. And she's like, I can't do that. Okay, pour me one. So I pour one for her. We both down the shot. And she's like, oh, wow, geez. Oh, wow. Ooh, I can't do any more of those. I'm like, all right. Well, then I'll just have one for me, down the shot, and one for you. And I down the shot. She's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I proceeded to just go through the entire alcohol cabinet with her. Just, she drank whenever she felt she could drink, but whenever she couldn't drink, I would just drink another shot in her stead. And she was just like, holy shit, how are you still walking? I could barely stand up. I'm like, I'm not even tipsy yet. Oh, good days. I was lying to her, however. I was fairly tipsy at that point, but I wasn't, you know, motor impaired at all, or speech impaired. But I was feeling it. I was especially feeling the 72%. That was that was definitely one I was like, oh, I cannot shotgun shots of this. Can't do that. That's a bad plan if I want to stay upright for the rest of the party. I only had 7. So let's go to the next Naruto story. Naruto! Children of the Paths! A shinobi is a tool of war and death, a purveyor of blood and violence, a perpetrator of endless suffering that has ravaged the elemental nations for centuries. Is that forever the destiny of the land where the shinobi reside, or can peace be found in the face of such a grisly past? What paths must be followed to finally end an endless cycle of death? I diverge from canon. I mean, I was jiving with this summary until the last bit. Kind of thought that last bit was a little bit self-explanatory, but hey, you know.
I believe the term you're looking for is unnecessary.
Yeah. It's like getting into a bullet train and then the conductor being like, okay, everyone, this bullet train is going to be fast. It's like, yeah, I picked up on the the implications by the fact that it was called a bullet train, and that I am intentionally taking this train to get somewhere fast. Let's see what the grammar's like. Okay, so some large paragraphs. Author doesn't know how to use air quotes. Interesting. For some reason, the author decides he really needs to describe the physical appearance of Naruto in the first paragraph. Well, second paragraph, but still. Not sure why in a Naruto fanfiction in the year 2022 we need to establish what Naruto looks like. I appreciate that at least he had Naruto look in the mirror to do this, but still kind of confused as to why we need to establish what Naruto looks like in the year 2022 of a Naruto fanfiction. Cabinets and shelves, ramen cups. So he's got some big paragraphs. Some really big paragraphs. Okay, we got some walls of text going on here. The grammar, more or less, isn't terrible. I would give it like maybe an 8 out of 10 overall. 6 out of 10 overall. 5 out of 10. Okay, he apparently thinks thoughts don't need punctuation.
That's not how English works.
Yeah. Not quite walls of text, but we're definitely reaching brick of text levels of text in some of these parts. But overall, I can't spot anything popping out to the eye beyond the very mediocre level of grammar and spelling. Which, again, not to be confused with it being bad, mediocre means average. Which isn't a very high bar. Okay, apparently this is phase 2 of his Naruto story. So what's phase 1? A lot of Sonic stories. A lot of Sonic stories. Oh, this guy really enjoys Sonic.
At least it's not Sonichu.
No, it's not Sonichu. Yeah, that's true, I guess. Oh, okay, my bad. So I thought when he was referring to phase 2, he meant like a separate story. He adjusted the summary to reflect the current book of the story. He has currently written 43 chapters, 163 chapters, and 730,000 words. And he's accomplished this over the course of the past year, starting the 1st of February. Yeah. This is a story of growth, a story of self-confidence, a story of pride, a story of power, a story of ages, for the ages, a story of triumph, a story through the old world towards a new goal. Welcome to a moment in history, the birth of the legend herself, this self-insert isekai. This is the story of Lilith Carolina Kobayashi, a woman of the Hidden Leaf Village.
No. Did they really name her that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
And so I want you guys to keep all of this in perspective. They are at 163 chapters. They are at 730,000 words. They are updating constantly ever since February 1st. They have 86 favorites.
Oof.
In the Naruto section at that.
They have 86 favorites in the Naruto section.
That's rough.
Yeah. We have to see what the first chapter looks like now. I was born in sunlight, dragged into the darkness, a child, pure before becoming cursed. I watched the first woman I came to love wither away in front of me. I closed my eyes to the truth in order to avoid the pain that came with it. And as my father and I moved away from our old lives to new ones, he indulged himself. He took part in the sort of debauchery that only those with money, those of those so-called nobility, could drink in. He dragged me into the darkness with him. At a tender age, I watched bodies writhe and women fulfill the lustful desires of men, dancing on poles.
Oh no.
The level of debauchery! Sitting half naked in laps of wrinkled robber barons. Drinking!
What the fuck?
I love how this author is like, oh, the things I have seen. I have seen orgies. I have seen women dance on poles. I have seen a man drink alcohol. It's like, bro.
Am I drunk?
One of these.
This is like just all over. It feels so unnecessary for the story to start out like it's like, okay, so just say you lived a shit life.
Oh
Like,
god.
it's like I understand they're trying to add like a little flair, a little dramatics, but it's kind of just like, so this could have been summarized as you lived a shit life. You watched people do a lot of depraved shit.
Well, see, the other important thing here is that unless you are like an isekai scenario where you like are fully cognizant, you really don't remember shit until you're like what, 9?
5 or 6, depending on the person.
Yeah, but still, it's like your memories at 5 or 6 are like flashes of like, oh, this was a really good time or this was a really bad time. You're not having like, oh yeah, I remembered on that day I did this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Like that doesn't come until way later. And so you being like, oh, I witnessed drinking. Yeah, I'm sure that really scarred your 4-year-old self or however fucking old you were then. They did drugs. They ground against each other and kissed.
So she witnessed a typical 20th century household? 21st, I'm sorry?
I mean, just a household period generally.
Yeah.
Nothing that she's said so far has really limited it to a single time frame. I guess maybe the orgy, but that's like, again, you could get into like the whole classism divider.
Romans, man.
The other option for the dark backstory is them going into super edgy things. I mean, yeah, but if you're gonna be like, oh, I have a deep and dark, depressing childhood. My father drank. And then what did he do? He kissed women. And then had sex with them. So he didn't beat you? No. He did drugs. And did he force any on you? No.
Did he sell you to get more drugs?
No. He actually cared very well for me and made sure I had plenty of food and shelter. But he had orgies with the women.
Did they drag you into their orgies?
No! I watched them willingly.
Was the door locked and did you open it?
You see what I mean, though? Where it's like, oh yeah, this is a really dark backstory. My father, who was rich, participated in events like pole dancing, lap dances.
Was he dancing on the pole or were girls dancing on the pole for
He
him?
paid
That's the first thought that
women
I had.
to
I'm like, wait, is he the
entertain
one on the
him.
pole?
He paid women to love him, and then he drank alcohol.
Well, I mean, isn't that technically what you're doing when you're marrying them anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean technically?
Yeah, fair.
Laughs in 1920s Berlin, yeah. I had no idea what this did to me. If anything occurred to me from this. So I was joking before, but this author is genuinely serious. Their traumatic childhood is my dad drank alcohol, did drugs, and went to strip bars. He didn't beat me. We weren't homeless. I always had meals. I never got forced into any sexual scenarios. Just, he had money, and so he did debauchery.
My dad was rich and did rich guy things, and it just upset me.
Yeah, literally, that is peak white woman.
Oh, God. Yep.
My life was excellent, but my father did things I disagreed with, so I had a terrible childhood.
Well, at least she didn't call it the other thing.
I didn't. I couldn't shove this away like everything else. And now I am free of it all. Away from that world and everything it could have done to me. I am with my wealthy father and his wealthier, newer wife. I am a child meant to be seen and never heard. And I am 11 years old. So what's your... My name is Lilith Caroline Kobayashi!
Lilith Caroline in the world of Naruto.
Yes.
With all the Japanese names.
Yes.
No.
I still love that this whole thing ends with, oh yeah, so my dad did drugs, and he drank, and he participated in some orgies, he got some lap dances, and watched some women pole dance. But in the at the end, he also found a new mom for me. And married her. And he stopped doing all of those things as well.
But did he marry a stripper? Inquiring minds want to know.
No, because she's wealthier than he is.
The wealthy women don't marry down.
white woman fantasy.
Fair enough.
I was gonna say I was gonna lead into it's all that, but I didn't feel like it really fit at this point, so I had to improvise. Man, just thinking about all that makes me age.
Oh god. Thank you for reminding me how old I am.
It's all that. It's all that.
Let me tell you a story about how my life got turned upside down.
Oh, so speaking of aging, so Max had sent me a clip from TikTok. And let's see if I can't find the exact tweet about it.
Pretty sure.
Here. Why
yesterday.
aren't art nerds writing their thesis on the neo-surrealism movement currently developing on TikTok? Is the tweet about it. And the TikTok video linked is literally just Neo 2000s lol so random humor done with better editing.
What?
Yeah. Like, Zoomers are literally out here thinking they invented lol so random humor.
They're cancer.
And Max and I were just sitting here just blown away by the fact that this person is like, oh my god, this is an artistic revolution, and it's like, no, bitch, it isn't. This has been around for 25 fucking years.
Minimum.
Next, they're gonna claim they invented bell bottoms.
They might. They actually might.
What? Oh yeah, that's right. That Hitler movie was hilarious. Thanks, Tension. Oh god, the Hitler movie where Hitler like reappears or like wakes up or some shit in like the year 2020, 2018 or something in Germany, and he goes on to become like a talk show comedian and like gets a massive following.
Oh god, that was so depressing.
someone put the Coldplay Rule the World a cappella over clips from that movie. It's just like the movie was funny. It really was. Because of just how absurd it is, and how it's so hard to satirize reality that we've literally gone full circle, and we've come back to Hitler, and even Hitler can't satirize reality anymore. It is currently the morning where I am. The place I live is about 100 kilometers from the nearest shinobi village, called the Hidden Leaf. I have never been there, and I have no plans to go there. I am in the backyard of my home, a lavish estate. A place that only generational wealth could afford and maintain, with an army of housekeepers. And there are those who tend the grass and plants, and those who maintain the rooms, and those who serve us directly. We are the elite of the world. It has to be shown to any visitor in full. The grass is freshly cut, and because of that, I can see the small snake slithering on its belly. I recognize it. It is a garden snake, according to my textbooks. Harmless as I can recall, its tongue flicks outwards to taste the air, helping it to navigate. I sit and watch as my parents have ordered. They always hated it when I got myself dirty and have taken to dressing me in outrageous and frilly dresses to stifle my adventurous spirit. To my stepmother's chagrin, the results have been mixed at best. But I try to do as they ask by donning the outfits daily and posing as the perfect child whenever guests arrive. I do not speak, and I especially do not smile. Wow, this really... I was making a joke earlier about this being peak white woman, but, Yep.
Like they have a consistent tone of being like this elitist child or something, like acting
Yeah,
all superior
literally
knowledge.
super elite child who literally wants for nothing, has an army of people waiting on their every need and care, and
She
yet
studies the books. She does all that.
She's getting education. She's not expected to do anything with her life, but she's still sitting there complaining.
Yeah, it's like you could feel it in the tone. Like it isn't saying it, but it's like, oh, okay, this is the whole
This
rich
is a
kid who's gonna
pressure.
complain.
Blah blah blah, grubs in the bed, blah blah blah, I want to be of service, the consequences can be dealt with later, so I lean over and I pick up the snake and I then gently move the snake around and I go, "You seem hungry, Mr. Snake," and then it stops moving, hearing my voice. It seemed foolish, but it was a nice thought to have. Perhaps in a different world I could carry him over to the flower bed properly and let him loose. I think he is quite happy with his situation now. It seems to be so. He slithers around the flower bed and eats, crouching down with curiosity. I watch him. He starts to look like he is full. What? Assuming the snake's full? I'm not sure what made me think that, but it just feels right. I pick him up again, and I bring him back over the barrier, and I set him down. But he slithers up my arm before I can react. Very interesting, this snake. He reaches my shoulder. His tongue flicks out, hitting my cheek once and twice. I feel warmth. I don't understand why, but it feels like affection, like a thank you from the snake. Wow, Jesus Christ. I was joking about the white woman earlier. Holy shit.
You're joking.
I am
It
the
always gets worse.
savior of the snake. The animals come to thank me personally.
I'm getting some real Eve vibes here. I'm sorry. Actually, yeah, Eve vibes.
Yeah, Eve. Yeah, you're right. Good luck, Mr. Snake. The words come without thinking about them, but they are genuine from my heart. A strange, welcome happiness.
She's supposed to be a child, right?
Yeah, she's supposed to be 11 years old.
Okay, I had to ask because it's like this is like super deep, super attempting to be super deep, super sophisticated, smart, and she's a child.
She not only is she a child, she is supposedly an 11-year-old who is rebellious and fights against the oppression of her parents, who believe she should be seen but not heard, who believe she should be dressed up but not do.
I thought you said she was an isekai.
I mean, is there really any difference?
Yeah. That would explain the premature maturity.
Yeah, like, this is quite literally just a self-insert of the author, and the only thing that's preventing it from being an isekai is her going, I am in the Naruto world, and I will now use my meta-knowledge to solve all the problems.
Pretty much, yeah.
So she falls asleep in the sunlight, and she dreams of a woman with long scarlet hair, full and beautiful. I feel like I know this person. She turns before I can call to her. She smiles just like she always does. And I'm proud of what I've become. She's proud of me.
It's Kushina.
Probably. Also, at the same time, it's kind of really hyper cringe because, again, it's just like I am fighting against my parents suppressing me, and this dream woman I dream about approves of my attitude, and so I feel righteous and happy.
I'm pretty sure Kushina would basically be like, go punch them or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember her being like a Spitfire or something as a kid.
Honestly, if Kishimoto gave her extra lore time, I would not be surprised if she turned out to be the Elemental Country's Ted Kaczynski.
Really?
I mean, that's how basically he set her up as, where she just picked fights constantly, and she didn't care about social order or anything, and she just did whatever. And yeah, I genuinely see if we ever got more screen time with her, I wouldn't even be shocked if Kishimoto was like, oh yeah, by the way, she just sent seal bombs to people because she could, and she didn't like them.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea for a plot. For a story.
The Shinobi Revolution was what's the Ted Kaczynski quote?
A revolution against the industrial system.
No, it's the Industrial Revolution was the something. But man, holy shit, going through Ted Kaczynski quotes right now, holy shit, was this man fucking based. The leftist is antagonistic to competition because he feels deep inside that he is a loser.
Based! But this says he's part of a series on green anarchism.
What motivated me was nothing that I read. I was simply angry that the machines ripped up the woods.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong with violence in of itself. In any particular case, whether violence is good or bad depends on how it is used and the purpose for which it is used.
Kaczynski said that?
Yeah, Kaczynski said this.
He ain't wrong.
Yeah. Those who are most sensitive about politically incorrect terminology are not the average. I'm not allowed to say these words.
Whoa.
But a minority of activists, many of whom do not even belong to the oppressed groups, come from the privileged strata of society.
Called it.
Not wrong.
The
now I'm gonna have to find Kaczynski quotes.
The problem is that people don't believe a revolution is possible, and it is not possible because they do not believe it is. Oh, here's a good one. It is important not to confuse freedom with permission. Oh, wow.
That is a good one.
Oh yeah, here's another great one. Power depends ultimately upon physical force. By teaching people that violence is wrong except when the system uses violence, the system maintains its monopoly on violence and thus keeps all of the power.
Yeah, that is exactly how it's done today. Dead on accurate.
I mean, to be fair, Kaczynski's IQ was like fucking like 190 or some shit.
Based Aspie.
Never lose hope. Be persistent and stubborn. There are many instances in history where losers became winners, so you should never conclude all hope is lost. The concept of mental health in our society is defined by and large to the extent at which the individual behaves in accordance to the needs of the government and does so without showing signs of stress. Our society tends to regard as a sickness any mode of thought or behavior that is inconvenient for the system. And this is plausible because when an individual doesn't fit into the system, it causes pain to the individual as well as problems for the system. Thus, the manipulation of an individual to adjust him for the good of the system is seen as a cure for sickness. Ted Kaczynski's he's got some quotes. But where's his most important one? The Industrial Revolution. Here's another good one. The leftist is anti-individualistic. He is not of the sort who has an inner sense of confidence in his own ability to solve problems and satisfy his own needs. True. Constitutional rights are useful up until a point, but they do not serve to guarantee much more than what can be thought as the bourgeoisie concept of freedom. According to the bourgeoisie conception of freedom, a free man is essentially an element of the social machine and has only a certain percent of prescribed and delimited freedoms. Freedoms that are designed to serve the needs of society rather than the individual. It is important to remember we are allowed to do anything we like as long as it's not important to the system. To those who think that my books sound like science fiction, we point out that yesterday's science fiction is today's fact. The Industrial Revolution has radically altered man's environment and way of life, and it is only to be expected that as technology is increasingly applied to the human body and the human mind, man himself will be altered as his environment and way of life has been. Yeah, this is
That is some fourth industrial revolution shit right there.
Ooh. Ooh. Here's some shots being fired at the greenies. Rebellion against technology and civilization is the true rebellion, a true attack against the existing values of the system. But the green anarchists, the anarcho-primitivists, and other green activism movements have fallen under such heavy influence from the left that any rebellion against civilization has to be neutralized. Instead of rebelling against the values of civilization, they have adopted the values of civilization and have been constructed an imaginary picture of primitive societies that embodies civilized values. Basically, all y'all are fake. Come on, where is the biggest quote from him? Come on. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here's the big quote. Here's the big one. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Okay, so that carries over to the whatever we were talking about before. And yeah, I was kind of drunk before. I literally sent you the quote 7 minutes ago. Motherfucker, do you think I genuinely check my Discord? Yeah, the Shinobi Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to get to. I forgot, because I am currently liquored up a little bit. I only had a fist of vodka. Give me a break. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, basically the rest of this story doesn't fucking matter. It's just a white woman complaining about being rich. Opening notes, author's notes. Welcome to my story. This is a project I have gone through before, but life happened and prevented me from writing more. This is a reimagination of my previous story from the ground up. You've probably noticed the perspective here. You will be following Lilith Carolina Kobayashi, a young girl in the Naruto world who is born into money and will soon be getting the first taste of the shinobi life in the Hidden Leaf. It will contain a colorful cast of characters, both old and new, and that will be here to entertain you. The premise isn't exactly novel, and you will see alternate timeline twists coming as the canon world interacts with her. But hopefully you readers will enjoy what happens and how it happens, even if it isn't high art. A handy element I have for all future arguments is that these characters are gay, and you just have to shut up and deal with it. If you don't want characters to be gay in my story, then don't read my story. However, this does not mean that everyone is suddenly going to become gay, and there will be plenty of subtext and supertext when it comes to people being gay. If that's too much for you, then I'm not going to turn it down. There's going to be lots of gay people in this story, and I hope you don't fetishize it.
You mean when they weren't canonically in Naruto?
Yeah. Sounds gay. Probably is gay, yeah. Let's talk about the sex! There's gonna be sex! And sexuality, and a bunch of other fun things, like sex with young children. Yes, there will be sex with young children in this story. This is not This isn't to open the light to orgies or underage sex scenes. The tone is set, and I promise you I will handle the underage sex scenes responsibly.
What in the fuck?
Yes.
Meh.
Murder, death, kill. People are going to think, oh my god, the edge, when we get to certain sections, and they probably won't be wrong. There will be lots of violence and blood and not very nice things, and I will label the chapters with trigger warnings as needed.
Fucking trigger warnings.
This triggers me.
This isn't because I'm going to be going for a gritty portrayal of Naruto, the Hurricane Chronicles, or some other garbage. It's for story reasons. Like people being pretty fucked up and impulsive, among other things. Not my canon! For anyone that complains about the canon not being existent in this story, well, you see, there will be ripple effects and changes here and there I'll make to canon, and you might enjoy or hate these changes. This will not be as serious as the above stuff I've posted, but it is a point of contention that many people will have. I won't flanderize, or whatever the hell the word is, any of the characters, but I might give you an extended look at different sides of them, and this might change your opinion of them. To anyone who comments about the power of God in anime inside my fight scenes, they're gonna be totally metal as fuck. Strap in. The fanfic will also contain coarse language and suggestive themes. People who say bad, naughty words, and people who might also be underaged. It happens. That's cool, author. Face the wall.
Tell me more. Face the wall, comrade.
Yeah. And with that, that's what we're gonna leave the that's what we're gonna leave tonight on. You know, that's where we're gonna call it a night. This story, who claims to be handling underage sex with carefulness and a serious look at it. Yes. So I can't say much about the grammar because it's really just purple prosy. It was correct by and large, however, but it was very prosy. So, you know, there's that. The author revealed a lot of their plot and how it's going to go with the author note they left at the end of the first chapter. That's in this instance, I fully agree and appreciate the author doing this because it tells me that I don't need to read this story at all. Wish they would have put it at the start of the story, but you know, it is what it is. Not much else can be said that I haven't already said about the author or their story. So that's what we'll leave off for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to come back on Tuesday because, unfortunately, there is always more, and it does always get worse.